Ladle ladies and brittle boys, mosey on to the molding pit. Give your mix a nitrogen flush. And, is that a 35-kilogram ingot of talonite in your blast furnace, or are you just happy to see me?
All right, everybody in your trunks, time to get in the crucible. It's time to talk Tull to me.
Hot stuff coming through.
Hot stuff. You ever see that in The Simpsons?
Yes, that's what I was talking.
We work hard and we play hard.
Yeah.
Was that John Waters that was the special guest in there who was like the gay friend?
That would make sense.
I think so, yeah.
That would make sense. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Momes.
And this, my little Ingos, is Talk Tull to me.
A metallurgical meander through the steel mill of prog rock, in which Nodular Nick and Oxidization Omen will perform non-destructive testing on each and every thermally tempered track that rhodium-coated rock band Jethro Tull have ever heated up to glowing, beaten the shit out of with an 8-pound hammer, and dunked into a vat of diesel oil. We will become occupied with Ryan O'Donnell's osmium utterances, galvanize David Goodyear's gating system, and strike while Scott Hammond is hot, which is always. And if we can homogenize our hafnium, micro-etch our magnesium, and fatigue crack our ferrite, we may just have our cracking strips welded shut by the flutist of the furnaces, the titanium tambouriner, the dancing degreaser, Ian, before every performance I spend 3 hours blast heating my blowhole, Anderson.
Did you say dunking into diesel?
Yes, so when you temper steel, you have to cool it down quickly, and the way you do that is by dunking it typically into oil. So yes, diesel oil, not diesel fuel.
Oh, okay.
Anyone listening, do not temper your hot blades in diesel fuel. You will burn down your workshop.
And I'm guessing it's not water because the water will just turn to steam.
I think there's something... Yes, I think that's it. And I think that actually, because of that, it doesn't cool down the metal in the right way.
Oh, the water?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. There's probably much more heat dissipation with the oil because it's fully submerged, and it's probably a consistency thing, is my guess.
One of my favorite shows is Forged in Fire, the bladesmithing show. It's so fun.
Is it good?
It's so fun. I mean, it's people making blades and then testing them.
Just hitting them with things.
Hard to go wrong with.
Yeah, right.
Nick, speaking of blades, speaking of the blades, what is the track that we have the pleasure of talking Tull about this very day?
Everybody put on your flannel and your ripped up jeans, get your long greasy hair out, and run to the front of the stage to mosh. We're going to listen to heavy metals.
That's right, we are. Didn't understand where that was going. But I get it now. I'm ready for you.
Okay, good.
And actually, a mosh pit is a good kind of representation of what happens to the molecules in a piece of metal when it gets heated up.
Well, there you go.
I've always said that.
You've been saying that for years, and I never understood it until now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a carbon molecule.
Wow.
Oh no.
Excuse me, sorry, pardon me. Oh.
I'm trying to form a crystalline structure, but the heat's too hot.
It won't allow it. When we cool, we won't break on an edge.
I think I lost an electron. Have you ever been in a mosh pit?
No.
I don't know.
I've been in a mud pit, not a mosh pit. I'm assuming you've been in a mosh pit.
I've been in a nosh pit. Delicious.
Canapes.
Just a little bit for me. I'm saving room for dessert. All right. Heavy Metals is the track Chapter 2 off of...
Homo Ereticus.
Homo Ereticus.
Remember last week we were at 7,000 BCE, just crossing that freshened gap where freshen your gap, everyone, where mankind could cross over into England and into the UK and populate it.
Through Doggerland.
Through the Doggerland, correct.
Through the Doggerland.
And now we are jumping ahead in time to 750 BCE up into 43 CE.
So let's have a listen.
So let's time jump in.
the smith, I feed my melt pot, fashion carbon steely blades.
Nick McGill.
Omen Thomas Sade, my ears are still ringing from that heavy metal.
Truly was heavy.
The heaviest metal song. The flute is truly a heavy metal instrument, even though there's no flute in this song.
Yeah, no flute in this song. But bringing the spirit of heavy metal into this track. Quite short. It's only 2.5 minutes. Yeah, minute
and a half. Yeah,
and a pretty limited palette of instrumentation.
Mm-hmm.
But with that palette, a beautiful, beautiful picture is painted.
Yeah, I don't think we can ignore the irony of choosing this sound for a song called Heavy Metals. It's too on the nose to make it like really ripping. We know Florian can knock the shit out of it with his guitar.
Yep.
But he doesn't.
He's not even
in here, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's what we've come to expect from Ian, that kind of tongue in cheek and being a little bit winky to us.
Yeah, very cheeky, yeah.
Very cheeky. We have a lovely drone, which brings us in, courtesy of John O'Hara, I reckon. And then most of the song is presented or carried through by the acoustic guitar, which must be played by Ian.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. And I'm pretty sure there's bass behind it as well.
Yeah, I think you're so. Right.
Yeah.
I am the smith, I feed my melt pot, fashion carbon steely blades.
But very light, very, very unobtrusive.
Mm-hmm. And then we get the only percussion we get is these little ding, ding. And it's not even a bell ding.
No.
I don't know what it is that's making that ding sound, but it's clearly like, I'm a tiny little gnome working in my smithy.
Yes.
Like making pins.
Yeah.
It's sultry peace and blood raised anger. I hammer out my forging trade.
It reminds me a little bit of the hammering sound from Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. From hi-ho,
sure.
hi-ho. They have that ding, ding.
Yeah.
And it's not a straight, kind of 4 on the floor hammer sound.
Yeah.
There's some little variations of tempo which make it nice.
Yeah, it's interspersed.
I had initially listened to this song on my running headphones, which are not as good for audiophilia.
Yeah. I can't be within 30 yards of a speaker store.
And on those headphones, I found the dinging a little laborious, but in the mix with my good headphones, it's much better. It feels much more. It feels less like, hey, it's a song about metal, and so we're beating on something.
Yeah, no, it's clearly environmental and meant to be kind of just additive as opposed to like thrusting it in your face. And it is that. It's kind of soft and it's sweet.
If this were, I feel like there is a universe in which this song is like ripping guitars and heavy metal stuff. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is the Spinal Tap version of Jethro Tull.
Yes, absolutely.
We're writing a song called Heavy Metals. It's about a blacksmith, and we're going to rip it to shit on the stage and turn it all the way up.
I'm sure there are several heavy metal songs, death metal songs, dealing with blacksmiths and heavy metals, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably some of that Viking death rock that's out there.
Exactly, yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff.
It is, yeah, it's dope. Up until 30 seconds, that's all we get. But at 30, our synth comes in with a really nice, soft little, kind of ethereal, kind of high pitch. I think it picks up the drone a little bit.
Yes.
But in addition to that drone, that's when we get our additional voices as well.
Hum.
Hum.
Lockheed Fokker, Curtis Hawker, Avro Gloucester, Henry Page.
I love that so much. It is so fun. Again, very Seven Dwarves.
It is, yeah. It also feels so much like a Christmas song. Like if this was on the Christmas album, I wouldn't blink. I would not even question it. It's the Christmassiest non-Christmas song I've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Die Hard, like people call it a Christmas movie, but it's obviously not. This is the Die Hard of music.
there is something. What you said makes sense, and I can't break it down.
Yep.
But I agree with you.
No scientist or physicist can explain it, but it is true nonetheless.
Always thinking about the theatrical nature of Tull. I love the image I have in my head is of the actual lead role Smith is downstage singing his song. And you have the chorus in the background all doing like hum, like little automatons.
Yeah,
hammering their
silhouette too behind a scrim, so you just see them backlit. Yeah,
but you know that they're the ones doing the hum.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah.
So fun. It's so good.
Man, we could really put together one hell of a show. JDA, Big Brother James, if you're listening and you got some extra scratch, once Ian wants to calm down a little bit, we will help you put together the Jethro Tull musical.
The Jethro Tull Jukebox musical.
It'll be 3 days long, but it'll be worth it.
There will be hundreds of person who want to see it.
Yep. My family will not. Not even to support me. They wouldn't.
Oh, Nick, in this track, we have a very atypical instrument for Tull. I don't think it is being presented by the synth. I think that it is actually being presented by itself.
The dulcimer.
The hammered dulcimer.
Yes.
Every atom of the arsenal forged in distant dying sun.
And it took me a minute to identify. I thought at first it was a harp, and then I thought it was a harpsichord, and then I locked into it.
Yeah.
And it's very appropriate because it is literally an instrument that you hammer.
Yeah.
With very small, very light hammers.
The cutest little hammers.
So gentle.
But, I mean, we've been talking recently the difference between the piano and the harpsichord.
Oh, yes.
The piano is a hammered instrument, right? Like, it's considered a percussive instrument.
Whenever I play it, it's
when
hammered.
I'm playing it, it's hammered.
It's not the only thing that's hammered.
Something's hammered.
But yes, you're right. It is. And in fact, I wonder if the piano was directly inspired by the dulcimer, because I'm sure the dulcimer predates it. There are a number of different types of dulcimers across the world, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it must be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting, but really fun. Love it. Love the effect of this in this song.
It takes even more of a piss out of the idea of heavy metal.
Yes.
It also adds to the delicacy.
Yes.
It ties into the gnome, the like little delicate work, like using just wire instead of like a piece of rebar kind of thing, you know? It's... You're still producing some metal work here, but it can also be dainty at the same time, I guess.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's, I think, so much of art is about contrast. It's such a smart choice to say, the delicatest, lightest, most beautiful, charming song is going to be about blacksmithing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we also have, we have Jethro Tull songs that are extremely hard.
Yeah.
That are about kittens.
Yeah, right. Right, yeah. I mean... I think it does it justice because their blacksmithing is not just beating the shit out of metal. There is delicacy behind it. There is precision, knowing exactly what you're doing, knowing exactly when you're doing it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and, metalworking ranges from all the way, on the side of fine jewelry making.
Yeah, of course.
All the way up to Lockheed Martin making death machines.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that, but we don't know how to fly it. So we'll just lock the door and turn on the radio.
And go, burn, burn.
So they say, sir, you don't have authorization.
The military police are here.
They're not worried, because clearly you're not a threat, but
you do have to get out.
You're still breaking the rules. Oh, can we just address how frickin' charming the actual tune of this song is?
Yeah.
Ian sings it so beautifully too.
It feels like a tune that we've heard kind of recently. I think it sounds, and it makes absolute sense too, but it sounds sonically fairly similar to Tab 2.
Huh.
But maybe it sounds like something dainty in Zealotgene? I don't know. Yeah, I can't place it, but it feels like we've had this like really soft light touch of the singing with this kind of lilting tune.
Yeah. Well, and I think the tune is pulling a lot of inspiration from traditional music.
Yeah, sure.
Again, we have a wonderful amalgamation of all the different styles of Tull on this album. So we are kind of in that prog folk, prehistory prog folk area.
Yeah, what did he say? It's of course it's prog folk, but there's also Latin and religious music inspirations and this, but of course it's prog folk,
Right.
Yes, it is, but also this, which ultimately makes it prog music.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's lovely, and he sings it really delightfully. It's very well supported throughout.
Yeah,
it's nice, charming. It's a charming tune.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm charmed. I've lost me lucky charms.
Charms blow pops for everyone. Oh, the mosquito.
Nick, welcome back to the second half of the show. Here we're going to talk about the lyrics of heavy metals.
The lyrics and the meaning behind it, which is, oh boy.
Well, yeah, and this is a song where in a very short amount of time, Ian packs in quite a lot. It is a very dense, nutrient-rich. This is the lembas bread of Jethro Tull songs.
It's like, I don't remember which one, but off of Rock Flute, where he drops a bunch of names in a row as well, talking about the poorly fated loves between Joe Exotic and the guy, and then the painter and this. Yeah.
Ken and Joe and Dante, Frank and George and Joe and Trav.
Yes, it is like that. It's sort of like, here, I'm going to drop this, you figure it out.
These cultural touchstones that you should know, you moron.
Right. I am the smith. I feed my melt pot. Fashion carbon steely blades.
I am the smith. I feed my melt pot. Fashion carbon steely blades.
All right. Now, even there, we have quite a lot. If you go back to Doggerland, we have the line, strike with rock and flint and bone.
Strike with rock and flint and bone.
That's very intentional.
Yeah.
Because it was not even the Iron Age yet.
Right. Those referring to them making tools of the age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the technology at the time.
It was the Bone Age.
Every Friday night is the Bone Age around here.
Well, I guess that would be the Stone Age, right? That's why they called it the Stone Age, is because they used stones.
They did.
Yeah.
That is why they called it that.
Right. Great. Good job, Nick.
But I like Bone Age better. I think that's fun. I think that's more fun.
Yeah.
More accurate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Stick Age.
That's probably the most accurate.
Yeah. The Bark Age.
Yeah, because that's what they ate.
Yeah. The Hay Age. Hey.
Hi.
So the fact that we're talking about steel and carbon steel is a huge jump forward technologically. I mean, we have skipped 7,000 years.
The Bronze Age.
Skipped right over the Bronze Age, skipped the Iron Age, straight into steel.
Yeah.
And steel was, arguably one of the most important technological innovations of human history.
Yeah, and why is steel significant?
Exactly.
Because it is, what's it called when you mix the two together?
It's an alloy.
It's because it's a metal alloy. It's a mixing of two metals where you take the strength of both.
Yes.
And take advantage of them. And that makes steel significantly stronger than iron and
bronze.
Is it? Well, what's steel? What is steel?
I think there's like 1,000 different recipes for it. But
is it really?
Is steel
set your oven to Mark 12.
Oh, I see. So it's mostly iron and carbon.
Iron and carbon. Yeah. Okay. So probably coal, right? Of some kind.
Or charcoal.
Yeah.
And then other things that can be added are manganese, chromium, nickel, boron, titanium, but that's those would be more modern things.
Absolutely. At 750 BCE, you're probably figuring out, you got some peanut butter in your chocolate and some chocolate in your peanut butter and some coal in your iron. And it turns out it all works out.
It all works great. Yeah.
It tastes delicious any way you mix it.
Yeah. Go down to the smithy and get me one of those peanut butter chocolate sandwiches. Oh, and a knife too. Comparing steel to iron, it is harder, it is better able to hold an edge, it can be sharper, it is more water resistant, it is stronger, it is lighter, and it is more malleable. So you can do things with steel that you could never do with iron.
Yeah.
Like make weapons, for instance. But also, as we get into the next line, while coulter and the mold board stab and break the clods in forest glades.
Coulter and the mold board stab and break the clod in forest glades.
The coulter and the mold board are parts of the plow. One is the kind of round blade that cuts into the ground, and that's the coulter, and then the mold board is the one that looks like a triangular piece that
Almost like a snow plow, but it bent in the opposite direction.
right, and that hooks and turns over the earth.
Yeah.
So steel was able to further the agricultural revolution because you could work more efficiently. You didn't have to replace your tools as often.
Yeah.
And that your tools worked harder for you.
Right. And that is the start of that modernization that made a hell of a difference. You're spending less time doing this, so you can spend more time on this. Fewer people need to farm, so more people can pursue other pursuits like science, things like that.
Yeah. And as we'll find out, if you have one army that is armed with iron and one army that is armed with steel, all other things being equal, steel wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
In sultry peace and blood-raised anger, I hammer out my forging trade.
In sultry peace and blood-raised anger, I hammer out my forging trade.
We have a little premonition. I love that he starts with the plow. It reminds me a little bit of that line, I think, from the Bible, where maybe Jesus says, baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus says, goo goo gaga.
Write that down. Yeah. Says, there's a line about turning your swords
Blades into plowshares. Yeah.
Yes. Take this thing that's an object of war and turn it into an object of peace. We're sort of going the opposite direction here.
Yeah, right. And just the idea for the smithy is kind of outside of this society where, regardless of what's happening, I'll still have a trade.
Right.
Because I'm making tools, I'm making weapons.
Right.
People are always going to be coming to me.
Yes.
I'll be happy to make any of them.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I be smithin'.
Always be smithin'.
ABS.
ABS.
I'm on the ABS system.
Yeah.
Always be smithing. But there is that sense of I just do what society wants from me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Wherever society is, it ultimately dictates what I'm making. So I'm working for society.
Swords don't kill people. People kill people.
Yes.
Lockheed, Fokker, Curtis Hawker, Avro, Gloucester, Handley Page, Colt, Beretta, Walther, Mouser, Springfield, Ruger in a rage. Holland, Boss and Purdy, Woodward, Greener, Golden Age.
Lockheed, Fokker, Curtis, Hawker, Avro, Gloucester, Henry Page, Colt, Beretta, Walter, Mouser, Springfield, Ruger in a rage. Holland, Boss and Purdy, Woodward, Greener, Golden Age.
Lockheed down to Handley Page are all airplane companies.
Yes, aerospace, right.
Aviation, yeah.
And along with making airplanes, a lot of those companies also make missiles.
Yes. And the things that deliver the missiles, drones and things like that.
Drones, right.
Yeah.
Fighter craft.
There is a big Lockheed Martin spot in Syracuse. And when I was working construction, we had a huge job along this one strip that was butted up against Lockheed Martin. I mean, we were right at their gates working on the road.
Right.
You'd see shit flying over there all the time. Just great big old drones circling and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Aerospace industry is pretty big down here in Orlando. A lot of people that you meet are like, oh yeah, I work for Lockheed Martin.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I'm always like, oh
yeah. Goodbye.
Please don't bomb me.
And then everything after that, Colt all the way down to Greener, are arms manufacturers, weapons, guns.
Right. So Colt, Beretta, Walther, those three are specifically kind of manufacturers of classic handguns. The Colt 45 was then they called it the gun that won the West. Am I thinking of that correctly?
Yeah, because it was a repeater barrel.
Right. Okay, so I think that's the other key here is that these aren't all these aren't just companies that make things out of metal that happen to have a lot of military applications. Each of these companies has been responsible for some big innovation.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's, the role of the smithy in society is not just make me chainmail, but hey, I need you to make me chainmail that's better than the last chainmail than you made, because the other guy's smithy has made better arrows.
Right.
And also I need better arrows.
Yeah, I mean, society has brought us here. I'm just doing my job. I'm taking advantage of the fact that people need this technology, and I will make this technology. In a sense, they're blameless, because if they didn't do it, someone else would, Like, it's not like everyone's going to be like, you know what? No, we're not making bullets.
They could.
They won't. Capitalism.
What if every bullet order, you just made little metal figurines of like rabbits and things, and you're like, here's your bullets. I'm like, oh wait, that's not what you wanted?
They still shoot out of the gun and do serious damage.
But they sound fun. They go, wee!
Just a huge war. Wee, 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 wee. Oh!
Armor-piercing rabbits!
Rabbit shot.
Holland, Boston, Purdy, Woodward, Greener, Golden Age. I'm not sure who those are.
They're also manufacturers. Woodward and Greener are shotguns.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they're more... Oh, so here we go. Colt, Beretta, Walter, I think also Mauser are handguns.
Handguns, yes.
Springfield and Ruger are rifles.
Okay.
And then we get into shotguns.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So different types of gun that has probably progressed over time and not been awesome, pretty simply.
Well, again, it's not the object so much. It's what is done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what has been done with a lot of these objects has been pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it is a little bit of a prefiguration of some of the songs we'll get to later, which have to do with colonialism, imperialism, and all of the fun stuff.
The good isms.
All the good isms that came along with that.
Yeah.
Every atom of the arsenal forged in distant dying sun.
Every atom of the arsenal forged in distant dying sun.
Okay, here's one of these moments where it would be easy to think, oh, Ian's just being poetic.
Yeah.
But actually, he's just being accurate, and it happens to sound poetic.
Yeah.
Every carbon molecule that exists and every iron molecule that exists was created from a dying star, because I think you need the compression of all that mass in order to form these new elements.
Yes, yeah, and they operate it at such a specific temperature and such a, I think, like almost nuclear process of the splitting of the
Certainly.
atoms,
Yes. Yeah, because you literally are taking hydrogen and helium, I think, which are quite simple, and you're squishing them so much that they break apart and the neutrons and protons and electrons reform into more complex patterns, which is insane. That's crazy.
Yes, yeah. To quote Cornell alum Carl Sagan, we are made of star stuff. And everything around us is made of star stuff. All of those elements came from somewhere and helped to create us in terms of the ancient ancestors crawling out of that miasmic soup and growing a foot.
Yeah.
And that's all it took.
Yeah. Just some star stuff.
The foot age.
The foot age.
Yeah.
The podiatrist age. Also, you mentioned, and you're completely accurate in saying this, that is a nuclear process.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're headed with these next lines.
Yes, true. Very true.
In unholy trinity now, lends new form to plow and gun.
In unholy trinity now lands new form to plow and gun.
I'm not sure what the unholy trinity there is.
Well, Trinity is capitalized.
Right, in reference to the Holy Trinity, I think.
Right, yeah. Okay, the unholy trinity refers to a concept in some interpretations of the book of Revelation, where the dragon, Satan, the beast from the sea, Antichrist, and the beast from the earth, false prophet, are seen as a parody or counterfeit of the Holy Trinity. So, what we're saying here with this unholy trinity, of in unholy trinity now lends new form. It's the end times with this war of one-upsmanship of, well, I've got this weapon, I've got this weapon, I've got this weapon, I've got a nuclear bomb.
Well, and that's certainly where we're headed in the next line.
Yeah.
Harry S. and Oppenheimer, fare me, tell her, what have you done?
Harry S. and Oppenheimer, fare me, tell her, what have you done?
Oppenheimer, we know from the Summer of Barbenheimer, was one of the gentlemen who was instrumental in the actual making and putting together of the first nuclear bomb.
Right. And Teller was a Hungarian-American theoretical physicist, and Fermi was an Italian-American physicist. And I think...
Is it Harry S. Truman?
And it's Harry S. Truman, yeah.
Because he authorized the first use, the use of the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah. And also, Fermi and Teller were involved in the Manhattan Project.
Yes, okay.
Wow, actually, Teller is known as the father of the hydrogen bomb.
I would love to not be known as that.
It's a boy.
It's a boy.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. So I think what Ian has done here is really given us he's spitting straight facts in the sense that it is true that every technological innovation is predicated by the technological innovation that came before that.
Yeah.
You need, in order to build a nuclear bomb, you first have to have steel because you have to have the facilities that can process uranium. And guess what? You have to make those really, really strong.
Yeah.
So you can't skip a step. There's a great novel that's totally not boring by Jules Verne.
I swear it's not boring.
I swear, guys, it's just a couple more chapters. It's going to pick up. But there's it's called the L'Île Mystérieuse, the mysterious island. Okay. These guys wash up on a deserted island, and fortunately, one of them is a scientist. And it is really fun because they go through the process of, to survive, they're like, oh, well, we need shelter, we need food, we need this and that. But they go through the process, after they're like not actively dying, the first thing they do is to build an oven capable of producing charcoal. So that they can then use the charcoal in a forge. And they build the first oven so they can make bricks. And then they use the bricks to make the second oven and use that to make the charcoal. And then once they have the charcoal, they can go on to the next step and start smelting stuff. And they go through all these technological steps until they have like wire and stuff.
Do you know how many video games are built upon that premise alone? Of surviving in the wilderness, and you harvest wood, and then you can harvest metal, and then this and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Animal Crossing by Jules Verne.
Oh, was that what did you do that with Animal Crossing too? That seems like pretty lightweight comparatively to like some of the survival games.
Yeah. But it is the same concept.
Yeah.
Pick up a shell. Oh, now you can make a shell lamp.
Yeah. Sell it to Boots.
It's the shell age.
Yes. Yeah. It's the kitsch age.
It's the kitsch age.
Yeah, but yeah, so every one of these steps has obviously led to that next step. But because we're at step C, necessity is the mother of invention, we now need to create step D. And we can't be happy with just step D because someone else has made it to step D. So now we need to do step E. Oh, but I have this great idea about this. Oh, then we'll have to do a step F for that.
Yeah. That's really a good point. And we see that exact trend continuing on in these songs, especially toward the end of the album.
As humanity progresses, absolutely.
That there's that sense of like, humanity could have stopped at any point. And maybe should have, but didn't and hasn't and won't, it seems.
And that is, what an Ian sentiment is that, really? I mean, ultimately, he's been saying that since frickin' Skating Away, or even Locomotive Breath, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and Heavy Horses,
Yeah.
So we've talked about Harry S. and Oppenheimer, Fare Me, Tell Her, What Have You Done? And did they pray that he may guide us in his ways, now battle's won?
And did they pray that he may guide us in his ways, now battle's won?
That's exactly what we were just talking about.
Well, and it's a great lead-in or a great kind of jumping off point to the Zealot Jean song.
Oh, sure. Mrs. Tibbets.
Mrs. Tibbets. Mrs. Tibbets, little boy. Bow, 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 bow.
Mrs. Tibbets, little body. August morning, silence breaks. Eyes to heaven, Manhattan time. Drops in for tea and echoes cake.
Yeah, exactly. Did they pray that he may guide us? He being in capitals, it is the God that they pray to. Did they pray that he may guide us in his ways now the battle's won? So you drop the bomb on Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm.
You disarm everything. Everybody has a picnic and you start spreading the good word of Jesus, right? Like no more weapons, no more fighting. We put an end to the fight and now we can all be friends, right? Is that how it works, right? God said, turn the other cheek, right? Are you going to turn the other cheek, right?
God said you just have to use one bomb once. You get one bomb and then everything's fine.
That's it.
Then you have to cut that shit out.
But don't let anyone else get bombs.
It really is interesting. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Oh, Ian.
Yeah. Oh, Ian. Speaking truth.
Yeah. Have you ever done any welding, Nick?
No. I did cutting with a welding torch. I had to cut off the biggest fucking light pole you've ever seen hanging over an intersection. The width of just the pole in the ground, I couldn't even fit my arms around.
Wow.
Has to be anchored into a massive cement base with bolts like...
Right. The size of oranges.
This was up near... There's an army base up Watertown.
Fort Drum.
Up near, they were right down the road, and this was this big... They were making a big change in this intersection. So we had to get rid of the old stuff. And it was miserable. I was in the mud and the snow for like hours with this acetylene torch just ripping through these massive bolts. But no, I never did any of that actual stuff. But I did see a couple of people doing it with like, you got to like connect the thing to make the circuit and you use like a stick of metal or something to create the actual weld there.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff. And it's actually really... I guess for lack of a better term, scientific, it's very technical.
It's extremely scientific. Yeah. You have to understand all the temperatures and things.
Yeah.
And some versions require more skill than others. Yeah. I've never worked with any acetylene stuff. That's fascinating.
Oh, and the gas mixtures. Yeah. To get that right heat level. Yeah.
Right. I only did a little bit of welding ever, but I always found it to be very hypnotizing. There's something that feels very transgressive about it. You're like, you see the metal through your mask and you're like, that is molten. That is liquefied metal.
Yeah.
That is something that I should not have been able to do. That is the power of a god.
Yeah. And of note, it's so dangerous. You're wearing crazy ass thick gloves.
Yes.
Should be wearing like a leather apron. And the mask is so thick. The lens over the eyes is so thick. You can't see anything through it until you start the torch.
Yeah.
And it lights up so bright.
Unless you're one guy that I worked with who would, did I tell you about this? He would line up his weld and then he would just close it. He would just squint and look away and he would just go, and he'd look back. Okay, I got it. Look back. His face was always sunburnt in the middle of the winter.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. Some people in construction, that old guard of construction, it's a wonder they're alive.
Yeah.
Like some of the luckiest human beings, without a doubt.
That's steel monkey stuff.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's dumb shit.
So with this song, we have the most delightful Keebler elves in their chocolate workshop making little metal dessert forks sound. Mm-hmm. And what he's talking about is the progression of humanity from, we could make a better plow to, we can destroy an entire city in the blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm. Quite the journey.
Yeah.
For a minute and a half.
It is.
But also remember that this song is labeled at 750 BCE to 43 CE. Only 43 CE. So all of this stuff about naming the gun manufacturers, the bombs, all of that, that's just premonition. That's saying, in this present moment, we have figured out how to make a plow. Plain and simple. And that's what this will lead to something. Maybe we see this moment of the agriculturalist's eyes glaze over, and we get a diddly-doo, 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 and we see just a bomb falling from the sky. And then he kills himself and doesn't tell anyone about the formula for iron.
Oh my God. Never mix 30 grams of carbon with 1 kilogram of iron. Don't do it. Oh no. Don't heat it to 6,000 degrees. You said, metalworking is very scientific. It's absolutely accurate. And in a way, the smithies of these ancient societies were the scientists.
Sure.
And probably did, once you realize like, oh, I can make this shape out of metal. Oh, I can make any shape out of metal if I have enough time.
Yeah.
And the right kind of hammer.
Just the idea of the rim of a wheel, game changer. Game changer. Insane. They used to just be wood, and heaven forbid you hit a big stone, it's broken.
That's a delay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of Leonardo da Vinci, going back to the point of, hey, I'll make whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
Leonardo da Vinci had lots of gigs, and sometimes it was like, oh, can you paint this beautiful picture of the baby Jesus and the Mother Mary? You're like, yeah, of course I can do that. And somebody else would be like, hey, can you figure out how to defeat this army, completely obliterate them, make it very surprising, and don't risk hurt to any of our soldiers? Like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that.
What do I have to work with? A bunch of mirrors?
Right.
Maybe? Would that work?
Your budget is unlimited? I don't know.
How do you feel about a death ray? It's just a statement of fact. I mean, ultimately, is really all it is this has been the progression of mankind, of technology, and more it feels like that is the utmost priority. I mean, the United States defense budget, even before we had a steaming pile of shit in office, was out of control.
Yeah.
Absolutely enormous. And even the last 4 iterations of Democrats were too afraid to touch it.
I think that I was really struck when I went to northern Italy and saw some of the trenches and fortifications that were made for the First World War.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really shocked me was just the amount of effort that went into it. The stuff that was there was not easy to build, and there was a lot of it.
And you had to dig down, 6 feet?
Well, this was, I think what we typically think of were what I've always thought of as the trenches in France.
The French trenches, yeah.
It is that, yeah, you just dig straight down. But these were in the mountains. And so some of it was trenched, but some of it were fortified, where it was built up as a wall, and then there'd be a little turret or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I just remember thinking, like, my goodness, what if we could have just skipped that war and put all of that money, all that work, all that effort into, like, making some really cool music, man.
Or solving the problems in a humane way, just working things out.
Yeah. And I'm excited to talk about the rest of this album, because I think a lot of these themes are going to be recurrent.
Yeah. You can't speak logic to psychopaths, unfortunately.
But you can speak Tull to talk Tull to me.
But you can talk Tull to me.
To me, a psychopath. Nick, what have we the pleasure of putting into our ear furnaces next week?
Next week, another one on the longer side. Not the longest off the album, for sure, but it's up there. We are on track number 3, Enter the Uninvited.
Ooh, brush up on your Latin.
We are going from 43 CE to 410 CE, and then to 1960 exclamation point.
Question mark?
Question mark? And then after that, we really dip into Latin, but that is a 4 minute and 12 second track. The day after that track drops,
yes,
will be our 25-year anniversary, Omen.
Of knowing each other?
Of knowing each other.
Is that real?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. We met on my birthday in 2020, and it will be my birthday the day after that episode drops.
In 2020?
Yeah.
No, we didn't meet on your birthday in 2020.
Or 2000. Sorry, 2000. I'm really bad about that. In 2000, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe we've been doing this show for 25 years.
It's all been building up to this. It's been a long, arduous process.
Well, very exciting. Would that be our Lavender Jubilee?
25 years?
Yeah, what's the 25-year gift? No, not diamond. Gold is 50. Oh, it's uranium. It's the uranium anniversary.
It's the nuclear codes, the nuclear football.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Silverware, luxury, jewelry, custom-made art, dream vacation, or timeless keepsakes.
Well, we'll see.
That's a load of bullshit. We already had our dream vacation, though.
That's true. But I think
year.
it is silver. It's silver, right?
That makes sense.
It's 25 is silver, 50 is gold.
Yeah.
Until next week, I am the carbon that is beaten into your iron, Omen Thomas Sade.
I am busy feeding my melt pot, yum, 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 Nick McGill.
You beretta keep listening to us, the feckless momes.
And this is Sultry Peace and Blood-Raised Anger. Talk Tull to me.
I've been called a sultry piece.
Yes.
Piece of ass.
That's tattooed right above your ass, actually. It's your tramp stamp.
My tramp stamp, yeah. Hey, Mr. Da Vinci!
Yes, what is it?
Signore, are you at home? Oh, it's so good to see you.
I am. I'm just taking a break from the party outside.
Ah, yes, the parties are so good. You know, I was thinking for next year's party, maybe you can help. I think of this cool way where we could have the angels actually fly in from the top of the church and they fly around. I'm crazy with this idea. And can you do this for me for next year?
You asked me this on the day of my daughter's wedding.
I did not know that you...
That's what the party is.
A homosexual who never married has a daughter. I did not know that.
Your seed gets around, you know.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I do have a line with God. I can maybe call in a favor or two, pull some strings, if you will.
Strings, yes. Yes.
Have them come down, yes.
Because of, for the spectacular, but because of the play in the church. If we have the little children on the strings, I do it myself, but I'm afraid of killing the child.
That's right. I have the mechanics. I can put something together, yes. Something right in the garage, probably.
That's so good.
Oh, yes.
Very, very similar. We have a little problem with with the city-state of Siena.
Oh, not the Siena again.
Those bastards in Siena. Oh, I can't believe it. You know they drink their wine with their left hand.
What? I ain't doing anything with the sinister hand. No.
No, especially not that. I was thinking maybe about a way where we could encircle their city and just to kill them all in the most diabolical way possible.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I think we light it on fire. We dig a big old trench, and we throw the fuel right in there, and we light it on fire.
Oh, I see.
It sucks out all the oxygen, and then they...
Yeah,
yeah. See.
You sketching it for me is so beautiful. Your hands, you move so fast, so quickly.
I'm an expert at this point.
I can already hear how sweet their screams are.
Oh, it'll be beautiful. The fire will singe their lungs.
Oh, I love it. You are an artist.
Thank you.
Oh, that reminds me. I was wondering. We have a big lute concert coming up for the birth of the baby Jesus.
Of course.
And I really want a lute that could be bigger. You know that bastard Ludovico Sforza, he has a very big lute. And then Cesare Borgia, he has an even a bigger lute. And I want to say to myself, Medici, why not do you have a big lute?
Do you know why, Medici, you do not have a big lute?
But why, Leonardo? You tell me.
Because you have yet to ask me.
Leonardo, please, can you make me a big lute to make my heart so joyful?
For you, Medici, anything.
I love it. I
mean, for a price, obviously, but
of course, a price.
We're bantering. It's a rapport. Yes.
You have the accounts.
Yes, of course.
We let the lawyers do that.
Anything else for you? Perhaps something for yourself, Medici. It's so rare that you treat yourself. You're always so worried about one-upping the other patrons.
Yes,
you should really take care of yourself.
Time for Medici.
Yes.
A little time for Medici. You know what I really was thinking about? I was cutting off the heads of some of my enemies.
Yes.
You know, with your head-cutting machine.
Yes.
And this is so laborious to do. I mean, your machine is very fast, but it is the paperwork. It is the process. It is the whining and the crying and the wailing of these families before the head gets cut off, and then there is the cleaning up of the blood.
Yes, yes.
I wonder if there was some way I could be entertained during that process, maybe. Like if there was a little bird who spoke Italian, and we put him in a small box with another bird who also spoke Italian, and we make it so small that I can put in my ear, but nobody can see it. And they just go chipa 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 presto presto piani in my ear, like something like that.
I have just the thing.
No,
Just the thing. I was just thinking about this, Medici.
no, Leonardo, you crazy?
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
We have recently had two fools brought into the insane asylum who just talk to one another over and over and over non-stop, and no one cares, and yet they keep on talking.
Yes, the idiots.
Yes, they are new and fresh, and I did recently receive some specimens of the great minuscule parrot of Botswana.
Oh, yes, the Botswana mini parrot. Yes, I remember.
Yes. So we put two of them in the room, one by each of the idiots.
Oh, well, yes, one parrot per one idiot. Yes, I understand.
And then they learn to speak to one another, and then we put them in the box.
A little box.
And then the box
in my
goes
ear.
in your ear.
And what do we call it?
Orecchietti.
And what do we call these two tiny parrots in a cage? Oh, che cosa?
I was thinking the Joe Rogan Experience.
No.
That
It's
sounds terrible.
No, that is Ludovico Sforza's
of course,
parrot
of course.
experiment.
Yes.
It needs to be something special for the Medici.
Perhaps we have the parrots talk about the Saint Tullius, and have the idiots talk Tull to one another, and then they talk Tull to you.
Talk Tullius to me.
Si.
Talk Tullius to me.
Si.
Talk Tullius to me. I'm so proud.
And of course, we will make sure that it is a proud member of the Feckless Moms Audio Network.
Oh, you better be sure,
Of
Leonardo.
course, only for
Otherwise, you know, you go to France, you don't come back.
No, they drink wine.
Ciao. Yes, the Italians, famous for their hatred of wine.